And we're back. We're going to change this 12 volt cap. So what I recommend you do is take your fingernail and push this urethane goo down all around the cap to sort of help loosen it up. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take a screwdriver. Just 1 second. And a small screwdriver, and I'm going to punch holes carefully in the urethane. And you don't want it too much because we don't want to scratch those inner tracks. And now I've punched that out. I'm just going to take a screwdriver and I'm going to try to lift it out. So just poke it down carefully and try to flip that out. You will see it now. I have the piece flipped out. I did use a screwdriver, as I show, but I've done this type of stuff a lot, so I'm very, very careful. If you don't trust yourself, then use a piece of hard plastic is ideal. Now you'll see that I have exposed the 2 little pins here that's underneath the cap, and just take a Q-tip and wipe it with some isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol, just to sort of to clean the spot up a little bit. The next phase, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my soldering iron, and this one's cold, and clean it up. And then I'm going to gently touch this side here, which is the positive. And when you do that, with your other finger on the bottom, push the capacitor to the side just a bit, and then let it cool, and then heat the other one up, and then pull the cap towards you while you're heating it up, just gently. And what it may do is, what you're going to do is rock it back and forth, and every time you heat, it's going to drop about 1 millimeter or so, and then eventually it will come out. What I recommend for an iron is, this is a Heiko, so it's a good professional quality one. But you got to keep your temperature down. I recommend for something like this about 550 Fahrenheit. Much warmer than that, you're actually going to you could cause some destroying of your board. Okay. Also on the back side of the board, sometimes you'll notice little spots like this that are darkened, and that meant that got heated up. That one there is part of the alternator circuit. Next thing I'll recommend is taking something like a flux. If you have flux, and coat your points, and then have some good quality resin based solder, not acid solder. Acid is for plumbing, rosin is for electronics. And then you can remember to take, there we go, and put a little bit of fresh solder on that, and that gives it a really nice contact area to help you out there. Okay, and now the capacitor is out. Alright, now just remember is that when you're heating this material, it's toxic. So be careful to avoid have the least amount of fumes, and just remember to be careful, and everything should be okay. Best to work a place that's well ventilated. And here's the view from the top side. So we're going to clean that up, and we're going to make a hole. Here are 2 common techniques. One is what they call a solder sucker. So you just put it onto the joint when it's heated, pops up, sucks the solder out, and now we're ready. The other one is a solder wick, and you heat this copper braid up on the material with your soldering iron, and just be careful, this does get hot, so you'll want to hold it probably 4 or 5 inches away. Both work well, and we'll be back once I have some clear holes. Here we are. We're looking at that extracted capacitor, and it's 132 microfarads. It's about in around half the capacitance that it should be, but you'll notice, look at the quality, 2.26, so it's starting to go south. And there's a brand new Rubicon, 0.03 at 193 microfarad, so right on the money. And here's the new cap installed. You'll notice it's a little smaller, just modern, and it actually is better than the original one. So higher quality, higher temperature limit. Oh yes, and temperature limits I recommend you get at least 105 degrees Celsius, not the 85C, if possible, even the 125s. The 105s, I look for very long life at 105, like 10,000 hours or 5,000 hours at 105. So I try to get the highest rating I can. And here we are, soldered in, and now you just need to go and do a little clipping. And now the leads are clipped off, and now desirable to fill the hole, and you can fill the hole with any silicone 2 type, the ones that don't smell, and just smooth it off, and you'll notice another spot that I filled in with. Actually, that was ultra black that I had left over from doing a transmission job. And you'll want a pair of good side cutting pliers. Here's the 5-volt. The 5-volt one is over there beside the heat sinks. Please note that white crystalline material. That is the electrolyte that's on the inside of the cap that's leaking out. That's not a good thing. The material there is usually typically a little bit of potassium hydroxide, a little corrosive. So what you can do is take a cotton swab and go with your a little bit of water, a little bit of IPA, rubbing alcohol, and use it to clean that up before you start to desolder, and away you go. And here's our capacitor. That's the 220. And look at this, 22 picofarads. So it's 10 million times less than it should be. So yeah, we should fix that. And here's a test of the 220 at the 5-volt. Now, I tested this particular, the green cap there, it's on the 8-volt, and it has similar results, so it's virtually like new. But the other two were defective. And I guess this is my conclusion. Thank you for watching.